Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest, it's my honor to present today's guest, is Jennifer Lau-Hatcher. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
So good to have you on this podcast.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, and we need to give a big shout out to Brianna Hetherington from Altruistic Advisory. She's the founder of Altruistic Advisory. And I recorded a fantastic podcast with Brianna where you can really see her self, like how she loves to help people, what motivates her. It was a brilliant podcast. I'm going to put it in the show notes so people can refer to it as well. And I know you and Brianna are dear friends, and I'm very grateful for Brianna for connecting us. And you and I also connected through Brian and Adi Kaskavalchin on the Wealthy Contractor. And I also interviewed Adi twice on this podcast. So I'm going to have the link to that, to those podcasts. So it's great. It's great to be connected to wonderful people. So definitely thank you, Brianna, for that.
You have a great lineup. I'm feeling the pressure here.
Yeah, but you are, I'm going to introduce you and we're going to understand here, like why you totally, no pressure. All right.
No worries.
Yeah, no. So, you have a heart of a teacher, which I'm going to talk about that. I have questions about that. So with the heart of a teacher and the spirit of a pit bull, I love that. It's a good one. So you are the queen of finance. Okay, so that's why I said no pressure here, because you are the queen of finance.
Yes.
So, Jennifer, you bring over 25 years of experience driving strategic growth across companies of all sizes.
Yes.
So you are a visionary leader and co-founder of One Fund, you draw from your tenure at leading fintech firms and 8+ years at a major bank, where you pioneered the first ever gamified financing training. So we're going to talk about that, because that sounds very good.
Yes. I hope we do.
Yes. So you really have an unparalleled expertise in the financing and home improvement sectors. So your passion is really in empowering business to achieve rapid and scalable growth, which we share that passion. And also Brianna has the same passion. That's why we all know each other. And you use your deep industry knowledge to coach and guide them to new heights. That's how you accomplish that. So when you're not growing companies, that's like when you're not doing that and you love hanging out with your family, incredible family, dogs, traveling, you're a foodie. So you like to go to restaurants, really good ones, right?
Yes.
And sharing light with the world, which is amazing. So let's start with that. Tell us about your family.
Yes. My family is my world. So everything surrounds my family, or at least I try to make that happen. Being a co-founder of a fintech startup, that balance doesn't happen day by day, but we do the best we can. So,
and we have to say you co-founded it with Justin, with your husband.
Yes, I was just going to say that. So that's part of that overlap, right? So I co-founded One Fund with my husband, Justin Hatcher, who also comes from the home improvement industry, deep expertise all the way through every level of organization. So we did co-found One Fund together, and then we had a partner that we had pulled into that who's a brilliant M&A attorney. And so the three of us were kind of this trifecta of skill set in how to help serve the home improvement industry. So outside of Justin, we have two amazing daughters. We have our daughter Kaylee, who just finished her freshman year at Marquette University. And she'll actually be interning, not with us, but with another incredible organization that will be in home improvement financing. So it's kind of exciting to see her connect to something so close to what we do. So that's really exciting. We're excited for that. And then our little one is Hazel. Hazel is 8 years old, and arguably Hazel is the one who runs the house the most, but we really try to keep that back. Both of my girls are born leaders, and so we just want to hone their skills in the right direction. We have two dogs that are both rescues. We're huge rescue advocates. And we also have a fish named Blue.
Amazing. That is fantastic. Okay, so that's your world, definitely very
Yes.
important. Now let's talk about your career. So give us a little bit of a
Yes.
rundown where you started and how did it come about that you and Justin decided to start One and Fund?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Addie, we're not on a timeline, right? Because I'm really stinky at making this short, but I'll try. So,
Okay.
I do have the heart of a teacher because I actually graduated college with a teaching degree. I genuinely serve from my heart, whether it's children or adults or businesses, like that giving and helping others is, it's part of my cellular structure. So, I graduated with a teaching degree, but I did not go into teaching right away. I had an opportunity to stay with a company called Sylvan Learning Center, which isn't, it's still around a little bit, but not at the capacity it was. And in that role, I was able to use my teaching skill set, but I was also able to grow my business acumen. And I went from a director of education to a center director to a regional director. And here in Northeast Wisconsin, we had a beautiful population of centers where we were helping families with some of those challenges that everybody has, and including kids crying at the kitchen table about homework. We were able to relieve that and make that go away. The reason I bring that up first is number one, that's where I started my career, but that's also where I found the value of financing because our programs were very expensive for people. And I found that by offering affordability and payment options, people were able to get the help that they wanted for their child and still make it fit into a monthly budget. And that was something that in my early 20s, like you don't connect the dots on unless you're living it. And so that was something I connected the dots on. From there, I went to do I worked for a company where I was a consultant, but I worked with school districts and colleges, and I would come give real life presentations. So I was a professional presenter to populations of young people trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And then I went into selling and I did some consultative selling in the IT world. And then I found myself, this is where we come to that bank that I was with for almost 8 years. And the bank that I was with or I'm sorry, almost 9 years. The bank that I was with almost 9 years is Synchrony Financial. I still have big love for my Synchrony family. And while I was there, I had to not only build out our entire training portfolio for dealers on why to offer financing, how to offer financing, how are we going to be compliant with it, why do I care? But also making it connect, right? We need to meet people where they are.
Right.
And that's why I created Synchrony Sling, which was based on the Angry Birds model. If anybody remembers Angry Birds, we
Yes.
literally had gold coins that you would pull back and sling. Um, and hit objects and it would give clues and it would give tips and it was really really cool. It was ahead of its time. We built it mobile first, which I was adamant on because what do people always have near them? Their phones, right?
Right.
So again, we need to meet people where they are, and that's why I built Synchrony Sling. And then I did go to some fintechs and work on building up their financing programs and home improvement. And this is kind of where the company that Justin and I had before this one that I started, it was called Simple Choice Lending. We really saw a need. He saw it because he was in the home improvement industry as a finance manager running multiple brands for Brian Gottlieb, who's like a celebrity in home improvement, right? And he's
Right.
an amazing mentor and friend. So Justin was working for Brian and Tundraland and his other brands, and I was at the financial end of it, and there were these gaps that we both saw and we both felt, and there were no solutions for them. So that's really the birthplace of Simple Choice, which led into co-founding One and Fund together.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So was it, how did it happen? Did you start slower and then you still retain your job in the bank and then
Yes.
yeah.
So it started after I left Synchrony. And when I went off to another to stand up home improvement financing for a fintech and their medical, but I don't know how much your audience wants to talk about medical financing. So we'll set that aside for today.
We can talk about
Um,
that too because it's industry agnostic, but we can go over with the story because it's a fascinating story.
Sure, sure. So when I left for this other fintech, Justin actually woke me up in the middle of the night one night and he's like, I've got it. We got to do it. And I was like, okay, can I go back to sleep now? Like it's 3 a.m. I want to talk to you about this at 7 a.m. or not now. But we did talk about it the next day. And so when we started it, again, he was in the industry. He can't touch it, but I can. And so it was really this thing that we expected to grow really slowly. I expected it to be a 2, 3 year burn, right? We're going to plant this seed. We're going to start serving the industry in this way.
Mhm.
And eventually we'll be able to move to that full time. Specifically me, I will be able to move to that full time. And what happened to Addie was that it took off. And because it was such a need, nobody was doing this. It spread like wildfire. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I had finally reached a point in my career where I felt good. By that I mean I felt positive about where I was and what I had achieved and what I was doing and what I was making. Security is my biggest fear, or it used to be my biggest fear. Security used to be my biggest fear. So it was really scary to consider the idea of leaving a really healthy salary to go do this full time. And it, like I said, it came so quickly that we were forced with a really important decision. And Justin, in his infinite wisdom, was like, I'm not going to tell you what to do because that never goes well. But we're here, we're a team. You need to take this leap. Like,
Right.
you will regret if you don't take this leap. And I'm really big on not living with regret. I don't believe in regret. I believe we could have made different choices, but there's no use in regretting them. And so that really hit home with me, and I took the leap, and here we are.
Amazing. So tell me about the company now. Where are you now?
Oh my goodness. So the company now is just incredible. Again, we're so grateful for the relationships we have, for the trust that our partners give us. I call contractors or dealers partners because you're you're not a client that I'm like, "Oh, you're a client, you're a number on a board. You're a partner. Like, we are locked arms and we are in your business with you." So, we just merged with another company. So we grew to a certain point and we just merged with another company called One Click Contractor. And I'm going to knock on wood right now because it's been really super smooth. The culture gels really, really well, which was one of my big concerns when you're merging two companies,
So
right?
tell us about that. I mean, that's really interesting. Like, what made you want to merge the two companies?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So we wanted to merge the two companies because we've got the financing part locked down, right? There is nobody else in the industry that has a process like ours that serves the industry like we do. We truly are unique, and that's why we have the trust of the partners we do. And I could name drop a whole bunch of them, but I'm not going to. They know who they are. Um, so the part we didn't have figured out was like that estimating part and having that seamless interaction. There's this huge trend in the industry to consolidate your tech stack, right? Once you grow to a certain point, you have almost too many different pieces in your tech stack that you're trying to manage, and it can get overwhelming. It can cause a lot of FUD. It can be cumbersome. And then you're adding more staff to manage your tech stack. And so following this trend of consolidating your tech stack, we really saw a need for that seamless interaction from estimating through contract, through payment, all in one interaction. And we were being courted by some other entities that also wanted to work with us, but One Click was the one that made the most sense for how we are trying to serve the industry in a consolidated fashion.
Wow, that's amazing. That's also
Yeah.
a big step. I mean, you are definitely, for somebody that likes the security and the stability, it's not stability, but you are definitely also very good at taking risks.
I have learned to be a really good risk taker. Justin is naturally a risk taker. Like he goes purely on, and not purely, but he really follows his instinct a lot. And if it feels right, he's in. I take a lot more time. I need time to process. I need time to think. But I have gotten very good at taking risks, and you have to be,
You do.
running a startup.
Yeah, you absolutely do. But that's an amazing story, Jennifer. It's beautiful.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, we're all about processes and procedures and
Yes.
systems. You know, obviously, when you work in a bank, you have SOPs, you have procedures, you
Yes.
have to follow the procedures. Sometimes it's definitely because it's such a compliant industry and you're coming from the finance industry, you have the
Right.
compliance and you have the processes for that. But from your experience also working with the trades, with people in different industries, why do you think processes are so important in order to be able to scale a business?
Yeah. Humbly, some people won't like this answer, but humbly, that is one of the biggest gaps in organizations today. They're a this size dealer and they want to go to this size dealer, but they don't have the standardized processes, or they're not willing to put them in place, or they're not willing to tell their top salesperson, you need to do it this way because this is how we're doing it as a company now. That is, again, my singular humble opinion. That is one of the biggest gaps for people who want to grow. And so I'm sure you do this a ton because we talk about this a ton as well, is if you want to scale your business and if you want to grow to 3 times the size you are now, there is absolutely no way in the way you're functioning today that you're going to get here. And right? So it's absolutely critical. And I've been in organizations where we don't have standardized processes, and it feels on some level, even though we don't necessarily talk about it, it feels chaotic. It feels disjointed. It feels disconnected. And the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And what I have noticed when companies don't have strong standardized processes is you get a lot of that blame game coming in. Everybody's working really hard. Everybody's trying to execute the best they can, but it's not getting the results they want. And instead of coming together and being like, hey, what's missing? People start the blame game and they're pointing fingers at every other department except their own. And so processes are everything. And when we started One and Fund, that was something I was super adamant on of we are going to implement EOS immediately because we plan to grow really, really fast. We don't want gaps in communication. We don't want people to be siloed and not understand what the other departments are doing. So we started EOS instantaneously. Even though it started with 3 of us, we still went through the practice of that because we knew we would need it to scale our business.
Well, you are definitely a systems person and following the step-by-step processes. That's why you're so successful. I mean, that's why you were able to have a great family, be a great mom. I know you are because
I
Brianna
do my
said that you
best.
are. But we all do our best, but you have to
Right.
have systems in order to execute it. Being
Yes.
able to work with your husband, which is fantastic because I've seen you together and you seem like, you are definitely best friends, but we all have our moments and you have to have
Right.
lines and you have to have processes and systems in place in order to execute.
Yes, he absolutely is my best friend. And I'm grateful to say that because there being with your spouse 24 hours a day in work and in life, and again, those two intertwine constantly. There's a lot of points of breakage. And, they're super candidly, like there's been moments where there's shrapnel we're going to be picking out for a while, and that just happens. But he is my best friend, and we truly enjoy working together, and I'm just beyond grateful we get to do this together.
That is so cool. That is fantastic. But
Thank
Jennifer,
you.
where's the future? Where are we going?
Ooh, where are we going? Okay, so because we just merged the two companies, there's a lot of focus on creating that singular streamlined SSO type environment right now. So for the
SSO?
SSO is a singular sign-on. So
Okay.
that if you're
Yeah.
a one in fund contractor today, or you're a one in fund or an OCC contractor today, you could use what's your singular sign-on so that if you want to use both both ends of the SaaS pie, if you will, together for that totally streamlined experience, that's getting built on the back end. So I'm not personally building it, but our team is working really hard at that. So that's just like operationally what's happening. I want to be clear, both products, if you will still be available standalone. Like One in Fund is still available. One Click Contractor is still available, but we will have that again streamlined experience for the pie piece too. There's also a light CRM in there, but you know, I don't talk about CRMs a lot because I have PTSD from CRM. So
I can
there
understand
is
that.
a CRM piece as well. Again, so that streamlined experience. That is for the business what's coming out of the gate. There's some other stuff coming later this year I'm not even going to talk about yet because, you know, teasers are fun and all of that, but I don't want to get people excited when I don't know a finite timeline. For me personally, I'm going to continue to work day to day in the business. My new title is EVP of Enterprise Growth. And so in that role, I can't get around name dropping here. I do work like very intimately with Great Day Improvements. And so I work with their team every single day on various pieces there. And then I'm also working on some of our branding things and stuff like that. Outside of work, outside of One in Fund OCC work, I have a podcast that's coming out really, really soon. So it's been really beautiful how it's developed. My podcast is called The Conscious Creator Community, and it is a podcast that I do with Brianna Hetherington and with Kat Gottlieb. And the three of us come together to talk about varying topics, and we each come with our own viewpoints and life experiences, and we share really openly and candidly on what our experiences are, but also what are actionable takeaways people can do to grow. So I've got that, and I have finally, Addie, started working on my books. And I say books because one is short, one is long, one's like for my niece and nephew, that'll be a really what I perceive to be a quick hit. But for years, I've put the books to the side because I've said I don't have time. And it's not that I don't have time, I have the time. We all have 24 hours in a day. It's how I'm making the time and how I'm
Exactly, the
prioritizing.
prioritizing. Absolutely, I agree
Yep.
with you. We all have the time. It's what we put into that time. Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Creating it.
So that's been something I've wanted to do for gosh, I'm way too long, at least 15 years. So I'm finally prioritizing the time to put some effort on
So beautiful. Wow,
that.
Jennifer, that's amazing. An amazing life, an amazing accomplishment. So if people
Thank
want to
you.
get a hold of you and ask you questions and know more about you, how can they do that?
I didn't leave much to learn. No, just kidding. But if they if they want to connect with me, there's plenty of ways to connect with me. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a great place. I'm also on YouTube for more like personal things related to the podcast, so I can be found there. I'm on Instagram. My handle on both YouTube and Instagram is Jen's Lessons, like Jen's underscore lessons. And humbly, we're really free with our emails and phone numbers as well. So if somebody wanted to dive into a conversation, we're happy to do that.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for being a guest on this podcast. What a great conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to, again, just be able to connect with you and, hopefully share some valuable tidbits.
Absolutely. Very valuable. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.